You got elected, huh? Sworn in. To all you black celebrities, all you black people that I put up here. I'll put up again. For real. And I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Racism, Equality Act, and all this. This man, that a whole bunch of black people sponsored, let in, like from basketball to radio, radio hosts and celebrities. This man sponsored the KKK. Y'all talking about all this hating, all this hate, but yet you put a man in office that on videotape sponsored the KKK, gave praises to the KKK. Black people, you hypocrites. Celebrities, you phony. And black people that don't know about this, I'll give you a pass. But the one that didn't know about this, you're phony, you're fake. All the celebrities, they know about this. Y'all phony, you're fake. From the NBA to the rappers to the talk show hosts to the entertainers, y'all fake. Y'all put this man in office knowing. Y'all know this man history. He sponsored the KKK. I'm finna show y'all. Pitiful. It's up before. I'm finna show you again. Oh yeah, almost forgot. Busing segregation. He ain't want his white kids, his white children going to school with your black kids. I'm finna put that up there too. But y'all, pitiful, man.
Chapter of Biden's life. From his earliest years in the Senate, when he strongly opposed mandatory school busing. It was designed to achieve integration and a more equitable education. It was the mid-1970s. Biden favored desegregation, but not through busing. What's less known is how he followed the lead of some of the Senate's most fervent segregationists. In a series of never-before-published letters, reviewed by CNN, the strength of Biden's opposition to busing comes into sharper focus. On March 25, 1977, Biden wrote, "My bill strikes at the heart of the injustice of court-ordered busing. It prohibits the federal courts from disrupting our educational system." Biden sought and received support from Mississippi Senator James Eastland, the Democratic chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and a leading symbol of Southern resistance to desegregation. He frequently spoke of blacks as, quote, an inferior race. Biden
This president, he decided that he was going to pit us against one another based on race. When you saw those people in Charlottesville, he said there were very fine people on both sides. And when he speaks and gives credibility to these racist, watch my language, folks out there, he breathes out, they come out from under the rocks. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it all across the country. And as a consequence of that,
you're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Unfairly, sir, I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly?
No,
I just didn't understand what you were saying.
no. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest, and very legally protest, because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this, there are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country.
The senator made a very moving and eloquent speech as a son of the Confederacy, acknowledging that it was time to change and yield to a position that Senator Carol Moseley Braun raised on the floor of the Senate, not granting a federal charter to a organization made up of many fine people who continue to display the Confederate flag as a symbol, and the charter was to give them the right, the imperator of the federal government, to do that.
They're really showing them.
Felon just coming home from a 20-year sentence because of Joe Biden and that bullshit bill that him and Hillary put forth.
Another thing about how perspectives change over time. Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, "I'm ashamed that I voted for the '94 crime bill." You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. In fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now, not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct, but for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Mass incarceration has put hundreds of thousands behind bars for minor offenses. Joe Biden wrote those laws.
Every major crime bill that's come out of this Congress has had the name Joe Biden on that bill. We do everything but hang people for jaywalking in this bill.
Joe Biden's policies destroyed millions of black lives. Joe Biden may not remember, but we do.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, take a look at my record, man.
When I marched in the Civil Rights Movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others.
He had not actually marched during the Civil Rights Movement and kept telling the story anyway.
I come out of the Civil Rights Movement. I was one of those guys that sat in and marched and all that stuff.
His aides went back to say, look, he was in office marching for the idea.
That's how the word marching
on Twitter.
I was not out marching.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, they're going to put you all back in chains. And you ain't black. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. You ain't black. You ain't black. You ain't black. You ain't black.
The most racist thing a person could tell me is that I'm supposed to choose something based on my race.
You ain't black.